So Marion, can you tell me a little bit about the history of earthquakes in the ACT?
In the ACT itself, we haven't had any earthquakes of the size of, say, the Newcastle earthquake, but we have had earthquakes that have been felt quite strongly here. Within 20 kilometres of the Canberra GPO, our largest one was a 3.5 that happened back in 1961. It was just south of Sutton. And then in 1970 we had one in Tuggeranong that was a magnitude 3 that was felt quite strongly. One of the more recent ones we've had is one near Michelego that was again a magnitude 3 down in the southern part of the ACT. But also we tend to feel earthquakes that occur in the area surrounding the ACT too. Our real earthquake hotspot is the Dalton Gunning area, which is 60 kilometres north of Canberra, and they've had a couple of earthquakes in the 1900s that were much the same size as the Newcastle earthquake. They had a 5.5 back in 1934, and then they had a 5.6, the same size as the Newcastle earthquake in 1949. And they were both felt strongly in Canberra. They were felt over most of southeastern New South Wales and did considerable damage near the epicentre, but the 1949 one even caused minor cracking in a couple of buildings in Canberra.
So what sort of magnitude do you need to have damage to buildings, or when does the magnitude start to indicate danger?
Usually you need around 3.5 or 4 to get damage. The Dalton Gunning area, there's an old church there that's been so badly damaged that I saw minor damage with a magnitude 3, but usually you need about 3.5 or 4.
And how often do earthquakes occur in the ACT?
Well, on average, you'll get 1 or 2 a year, but it does vary. It can vary from 0 to up to 6, or if you include foreshocks and aftershocks, there's one year there were even 18 in 1 year, but it averages about 1 or 2 a year, but usually very small, usually sort of between magnitude 1 and 2, but we do get bigger ones sometimes.
And you were telling me before about the shallow earthquakes, that the earthquakes that impact the ACT are usually shallow earthquakes and that they're felt more strongly.
That's right. The earthquakes in the ACT are mainly in the top 5 or 10 kilometres of the Earth's crust, which is very shallow. In some of the oceanic areas, you can get earthquakes as deep as 700 kilometres below the surface. But ours are very shallow, and because they're very shallow, it means that, of course, that they are very close to buildings and people, which means you tend to feel them more strongly than if they were deeper or further away horizontally.
And what sort of risk level is the ACT at for earthquakes in the upcoming century?
Well, it would be quite possible in the ACT in the upcoming century to get at least one damaging earthquake. In the ACT, you probably average about one earthquake of magnitude 4 and above in 100 years. And highly likely that in the coming century we'll feel quite a lot of earthquakes.